I don't know how that pulled up.
All right, we are live. Agenda 1776. We have myself, Jason Lowe, J.L. Rilla, also known as J.L. Edwards, and Leo Zagami, former Illuminati member. Leo, how you doing today? And I want you to get into, first of all, real quick, just break down how you started, behind the scenes with the Illuminati and, why you walked away from all of that.
A bit lengthy to do that. Let's say that I am an insider of what is known as the new Vatican-led New World Order. The Illuminati is a network of secret societies that belong to this power struggle that sees behind the scenes the Jesuits, the Sabbatean Frankists, and for a period of time up until 2006, I was part of their operations, and so I ended up after exposing them. And now I'm here with you guys. We are in the year 2020. A lot of things have happened since then. I, of course, continue my work as an investigative journalist and author. In my books, I describe the secrets of the Illuminati, and I give my own particular, let's say, original view of the world events that are taking place. So I will say that summarizes for you, Jason, the whole thing. And we are here today, of course, just before the elections to support altogether President Donald J. Trump. Of course, Joe Biden has called the Proud Boys the Poor Boys. So there is a new group starting up, the Poor Boys. I'm looking up for their meetings. So where do the poor boys meet? Back at the oratory? Is it some kind of like Catholic underground friars-driven kind of thing? The poor boys.
Yeah, in the back of the kitchen.
So that's it. I mean, he called the president also Abraham Lincoln. I guess that he's a bit confused. His debate saw him as the biggest loser of all time. We have seen also Trump going really on the offense with a series of rallies all over the United States, while instead Joe Biden is retiring once again in his basement, hoping to come out as the winner. That will, of course, happen if in this country suddenly we become like South America, and with the mail-in ballots, we're probably going to have the more contested elections in history. Isn't that the case, Jason?
I believe so. At this point, I don't hold anything past these deviant entities that we see today in the deep state. You see with the Hunter Biden laptop coming out, how they just shut everything down, and it's everything is against Trump, and it's really everything is against Trump. Everything, because Trump is fighting for us, and Trump is the wall between globalism and Americanism. He really is the wall. It's not even a matter of fact of him building the wall on the border. He is the wall. And it's great to see that he's kicking ass. But yeah, who knows what's going to happen, Leo? I mean, I'm really just waiting to see the outcome.
Well, I mean, technically speaking, Trump will win. I mean, even if you calculate the movement of
this red wave
on the internet through algorithms. I saw the other day there was actually a scientist that was confirming that Trump will be 100% the winner. However, we know this variable of the mail-in ballots that were, of course, endorsed by the Democrats, as they usually do, to facilitate a probable chaos that might ensuge. At that point, like I wrote in my website a few days ago, we might have the Chinese invading Taiwan. They will take advantage of the weakness of the United States not having a stable situation, and that will be a moment of weakness that we should, if possible, avoid. And I think it's very sad that the Democrats are really betraying the national spirit, opening with their actions a door to foreign intervention. They are always talking about Iran, Russia. We know that the other day, Iran apparently used the Proud Boys name to send a series of mails around that were threatening Democrats. Fortunately, the Proud Boys, Jason, seem to have acted very fast.
They say it was the FBI says it was Iran, so who knows who the hell?
No, but I mean,
proceed.
From what I know, the Proud Boys or somebody from the Proud Boys went to the FBI, and this way, it actually came. The whole situation came out in favor of the Proud Boys, because in this way they showed that the Proud Boys were a victim of foreign intervention, which also means that the Proud Boys are an important asset if they have been put in the middle of a geopolitical struggle of this kind.
There's a lot going on there. Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
So that is a pretty fascinating situation, and I think that our viewers wanted to know something about it. Regarding instead the computer, the laptop, of course, we have more confirmations regarding all the shady business that was conducted by the Bidens, but we have also the witness an hour prior to the debate made by Tony Bobulinski, the witness, of course, of a former associate of Hunter Biden, that comes out and reveals with this bombshell press conference that unfortunately was followed only by Fox and a couple of other conservative media outlets, and the rest of the mainstream media has, of course, ignored and will continue to ignore anything that relates to the Bidens. And even if this is right in their face, the level of corruption is unheard. We're talking about a bribe of $3.5 million by the wife of the mayor of Moscow. We're talking about money out of, quantities of money that out of even the imagination of people, over $1 billion in China, percentages of 10% to 50% to the big guy. The big guy seems to be pimping his son, Hunter, who, of course, mentally unstable, mentally deranged, resources to drugs. He is definitely a troubled soul. He's not a guy who is well. He's falling asleep with a crack pipe next to him. It's something, I don't know, I haven't seen since 1986. So, whatever. I didn't know that people were still doing crack in 2020. But it seems like Hunter Biden is still going strong. And then we have, of course, the father, who seems to be also using a bit of the cocaine from the son when his pupils were so large and he was giving the debate. I guess that if you put the Trump next to Joe Biden during the conference, you definitely have some confirmation. And then we have, of course, the sex tapes, and we have the deranged attempt by Sacha Cohen, aka Borat, to delegitimize everything through this so-called exposure of Rudy Giuliani, which, if you actually go and see the film, which I did, unfortunately, even if I must say it was nothing like the first one, it was completely boring, you immediately see that Rudy Giuliani was simply doing what everybody does, which is to tackle your microphone out of your scared. It's a procedure that unfortunately you have to do when you have that kind of mic.
Rudy just looks really fucking creepy doing it. That's all it is.
No, man, well, I tell you, I don't know if you actually saw the film, because
I'm just joking though. As a joke.
I was
he's
actually
an old man.
No, I tell you, I was thinking he was creepy. I was just like you. I had to see the film, and when I saw the film, I actually have to rethink that Rudy is really a gentleman, because if you see the film, you would see that he did nothing wrong. He simply did this, taking off the microphone. Nothing incredible there. The guy came in and said, Borat came in and said, "Oh, she's too old for you," because she's implying that he's implying that she was 15. In reality, she's an actress, a Russian actress of 24. And so there was nothing wrong there anyway. But in any case, it was, of course, the classic attempt by Borat that was already done over 10 years ago with Ron Paul. I mean, it's the same attempt.
Right.
You remember in the first Borat movie, Ron Paul unfortunately felt in this trap by Sacha Cohen. But like Donald J. Trump just said to the media, he thinks that Sacha Cohen is a creep. So this is Trump's take on it, and I think it's the best description of what the new Borat movie is. He's a creep. I mean, it's just like...
Yeah, Borat's, he did the same thing. He crashed a Patriot rally. I think, I know Patriot Prayer was there.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he was part of this new movie.
He starts singing all these crazy ass songs, and people think
he sang this song where basically he was talking about the virus and whatever.
And the Jews too, yeah. And all that.
But I mean, the thing is, like, in 2006, he was still remotely funny. Nowadays, he wasn't funny. I mean, in 2006, still, I mean, you could get a laugh out of "My name is Borat," kind of figure. I come from this little town in Kazakhstan. It was funny. But nowadays, actually
propaganda.
I mean, it's
just like the late night shows. It's the same shit. Like, they're not funny anymore. Like Stephen Colbert, when he first came out, he was hilarious. When he was on the Daily Show with,
I mean, he didn't have really a funny movie for a while. I mean, he had Bruno, he had Ali G, which didn't really work in a movie format. I think that
I'd rather Tom Green do a movie than Borat. See Tom Green movie come back out. What do you think?
I simply think that George Soros is probably financing this kind of movie and the whole project, because this movie wasn't an ordinary movie, man. This movie was an act of sabotage. They organized a psychological operation. The guy, I mean, you're talking about Sacha Cohen. This guy has worked with the Mossad, with the Shin Bet in Israel. He's like a professionally trained intelligence operative. He's not just an actor. Trust me.
And then he called for Alex to get shut down and all this other stuff. But he's a hypocrite when he does things like this. You're perpetrating a lie, calling it comedy.
Yeah, I mean, if people fall for it, I think that a lot of the movie actually shows that patriots are genuine people, and that Borat goes around America finding good people that gets them in their houses, and they say, please come in or sing at their thing, and they're always nice. So, I mean, it doesn't really show an evil conspiracy of Trumpers who sacrifice little babies. It doesn't do that because it doesn't exist. You understand? So the thing here is that Borat is showing actually the great side of America by in an involuntary way, if you know what I mean. He thinks that he's funny when he's saying. At one point, he gives a little baby Borat to this actress woman who is pretending to be the daughter and says, eat it, okay? Then at that point, after he eats it, they pretend that they have to take out the baby, and they go to this evangelist pastor saying, oh, he has my baby inside him, inside her. And it makes this whole farce born around this misconception is created so they can diminish the pro-life importance, the importance of the anti-abortion movement, and they can then be critical of it in a way and deride it. So it's very much a very sophisticated way of wanting to criticize and sabotage the great movement that Donald J. Trump has created as a president in this country. And that's why Donald J. Trump today went on the offensive and said that Sacha Cohen is a creep. I hope that this summarizes it all. Regarding instead the situation on Hunter's Biden laptop, we have, of course, pedopornography, and that's why they had created this PSYOP with Borat for Rudy Giuliani, who is the guy who is exposing all this. Diminishing the credibility of Rudy Giuliani today is very important for them. But even accusing Rudy Giuliani of being a Russian agent, the only Russian that Rudy Giuliani ever met was this Russian actress, slut, friend of Borat, basically that is in the film Borat, is a Russian actress, okay? So that's the only Russian collusion that Rudy Giuliani has. I mean, it's
Interesting.
completely ridiculous.
Well, you had mentioned the financial scandals as well, and the corruption and the deals with a lot of foreign actors. That's also on the laptop. I wanted you
Sure,
to
of course.
probably speak on an article that's on your website, the Sovereign Grand Commander of Romania, and
Yeah.
how he's working with the Democrats, and how all this plays into faction with the Freemasons and also just the ancient dark arts in general.
Well, of course, there is a esoteric side to all this, but there is also a dark side because Joe Biden is simply the candidate of the Jesuits, and for that reason, is part of this whole conspiracy that is working behind the scenes to create this one world religion. And so I think that the candidate of the Vatican, Joe Biden, for them is somebody they have to push at all costs, regardless of his personal faults, because everybody knows that Joe Biden is not really a good Christian or a good Catholic, somebody that we should endorse in any way because of his support for life or anything else. The guy is actually somebody who is completely anti-Christian in everything he supports. He supports everything that is leftist. He's endorsing the left for convenience. He's actually embracing the extreme left of Ocasio-Cortez and the whole squad, the whole party of free. And that means that now we are in front of a decision which is basically fundamental for the future of the United States. Either we give this country in the hands of Satan, voting Democrat, or we keep it, the country in God we trust, that we have, of course, here always had in the United States of America.
And I just want to say, everybody right now, please smash that like button, that share button, get this out here with the great Leo Zagami. It is time for a commercial real quick, guys. If you could all just mute your microphones real quick. It is time for a quick commercial. Thank you very much. Are you tired of pedophile vice presidents running for president and touching your kids? Are you tired of them lying to you in your face? Well, we want you to vote for Trump 2020. Because, hey, Joe Biden really doesn't believe in social distancing. Brought to you by Agenda 76. There we go. There we go. Commercial right there for everybody to hear there. Trump 2020. That's the new stuff right there. New commercial. Hope you guys enjoy that. All right, so we're back into the show here. What the hell happened to my sound? Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Muted my microphone.
Here we are.
You guys hear that or no?
Yep. No, I can hear you loud and clear. We are back in the show. We can actually get.
You guys didn't hear shit. You guys didn't hear anything I just said, did you?
No, I heard everything about the new commercial 2020. Trump.
Okay, I don't know what happened.
Can you get the thing off? Because now we can at least enlarge our images.
Okay, you want to see that face? We got to see those faces. All right.
That's better. So, welcome to this show. It's, of course, a great trio that is welcoming you today. We are preparing for these elections. Have you voted already, Jason? Or have you voted already?
I'm waiting until game day to go inside and vote. I'm taking the day off. I'm waiting until November 3rd.
Okay, so how does it work if I want to vote earlier?
Well, you have a voting precinct where you'll be able to vote where you are assigned to. You should have, once you get your voter registration, and you can go vote early there. But if I was you, I would look online if you don't have that information.
Yeah, and see where your place is.
Usually, yeah, I think I saw now for my wife, I saw that maybe it's not really in the same town because they don't make it so easy, at least here in California. They are very much fixated with the mail-in ballots. And that seems to be the big problem that will probably manifest soon after the election. So we will see on the night the victory of Donald J. Trump, and then from the day after we will see this eternal contestation, this eternal battle from Joe Biden saying that the mail in here and the mail in there is superior. What do you think about that, Jason?
So I just want to say real quick. What I wanted to ask you, do you think the FBI is going to do something about this? I see people asking about the FBI if they're going to do it's true. Are they going to do something about this? Is something going to be done before the election? Because I don't think we can wait until the election, man.
The FBI seems to have, of course, focused on the foreign interest of countries like Iran, Russia, blah, blah, blah.
Russia.
Yeah, but let's always keep in mind that FBI is very much these days the mindset of people who are very much in line with Democratic Party and people like Shifty Shift who take control of the show and say that everything has to be blamed on Russia collusion. Trump is not really a friend of the FBI. We have to really understand who the FBI is working for. And I hope that for the second mandate of Donald J. Trump, he will change the head of the FBI this time, find a more suitable name that might also be closer to his plan, because otherwise you always have an agency that seems to act independently and on its own mind, but it's not really its own mind. It's the mind of the globalist. It's the mind of the people of the deep state who are fighting Trump and are never Trumpers. So it's always constantly a never Trumper kind of a spirit that you feel from the FBI. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope in the future things can change. What can I say?
Do you think it is these secret societies that are involved with the FBI? Is it the hidden hand that's playing into this?
Of course, so when we see the involvement of people like Skull and Bones with this whole operation, I talked about it in one of my articles with one of the main guys who was actually working with the Biden family as a PR for all their works with the Chinese Communist Party, then I would say that definitely the secret society have interest that at times is also a very strong interest. The Skull and Bones were connected to the opium trade. The opium trade built up the Yale University, right from the foundations. Large donations came from the opium trade, and the opium trade was a business that you do with China. So we are connected to a very old link between secret societies in the Asian world, in the specific the Hongmen in China. They are very much into the drug trade, into the control of the triads. They have also a big chunk of people in San Francisco that deal directly with Newsom. And Shrimp Boy, he's the one who a few years ago was part of this whole scandal. And he's connected with Newsom, he's connected with Pelosi, and he was the Grand Master of the Chinese Freemasons in San Francisco, which is nothing to do with Western Freemason. It's a completely different thing. Here I'm showing the article of today regarding the riots, of course, that erupted first in Naples yesterday, and they lasted until this afternoon. And tonight we have started seeing also riots in Rome, in the city of Rome. They will probably be showed images in the next few hours. But definitely the situation is very tense in Italy after their decision to go for a full lockdown once again. The economy of Italy is in precarious conditions already. The European Union has not really sent the money that they were supposed to send. So, I mean, they're like living on borrowed time. They don't really have the money yet. It will arrive next year. But shutting the economy now, once again, means basically it means bankruptcy for the ones that are survived this already difficult situation. So that's it. I mean, people had enough of this rubbish, had enough of the dictatorship that comes out of this whole coronavirus frenzy. The sanitary dictatorship imposed on Italy has brought people on their knees, and so riots erupted first in Naples. Napolitan people are very fiery people. They have a long history of rebelling to the corruption, a really long history. So they are the ones who rebelled once the governor came out yesterday evening and said, well, I'm going to lock down everything. We're not going to have any more weddings, baptisms, everything. And if you start saying to a Napolitan to not have a wedding, it's worse than telling him not to go to the stadium. You can tell a Napolitan not to go to the stadium, but don't tell him not to go to a wedding, because the guy simply is going to go insane. So they started rioting, and hopefully the situation is going to normalize in some way. But they are very much pissed off about how things are, because the governor, he's supported by the mafia. The mafia of Naples is called the Camorra. They are different from the Sicilian or the Calabrese mafia. They are a little bit more loose. They don't have a centralized power. It's just a bunch of clans, families, constantly fighting for their territories. And they are the ones who then support the politicians locally. You can't become a politician if you don't have the support of these people. It's the Kingdom of Italy, when it was annexed to Italy and became the Italian Union, it was a kingdom, and the Kingdom of South of Italy was a kingdom that was separated under Naples. It was the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies. So they have a different history, and they, as I said, got really angry about the situation. They had nothing to lose when the governor told them that even the pizzerias couldn't sell pizza delivery after 6. That was it, guys. The Napolitans went crazy. They went on. I have a video. I'm sorry I can't show it to you because it's in Napolitan, it's in Italian. I showed it on my Italian show today, in which the pizza guy says, so how am I gonna live now? I can't even do pizza delivery anymore. That's it. We're already struggling. And I have also another restaurant, he said, and now we're gonna go bankrupt. So that was about it. The pizza guys called the mafiosi. The mafiosi got angry, and at that point, once the mafiosi get angry, the situation got out of control. Let's remember that Naples is under the control of the Americans since 1943-44. Americans are the ones who have a military base there and who control the local politics, but it's not really the Republicans, but the Democrats. You have to understand that a lot of this mess was created by Roosevelt and then by Truman, by people, of course, presidents that were from the Democratic Party. Democratic Party created a lot of problems even abroad, man, and Italy is one of the victims of the Democrats. But the problem now with Naples is that, of course, they have nothing more to lose. It's like if they came here, they shut down the cities like they're doing, and they make people not even said the delivery. Imagine if in America they prohibited pizza delivery, what will happen? I think somebody will get angry. No?
Be funny. I'm about to order one later. So yeah.
So
I mean, people are going to get upset. I mean, look at now in New York, what's happening too. I mean, the guy got cited for having his door open to his restaurant for airing it out because it was hot inside, and he got cited.
Yeah, and then, like Trump said the other day, you have to have all this plexiglass in all the restaurants, and also the diminished capacity of the restaurant.
Joe Biden wants that. Yeah, and then he doesn't know that actually plexiglass is made out of crude oil. That's where it comes from. That's where it's based.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally polluted.
Plexiglass. So he wants to get rid of the oil, and he wants to add the plexiglass. No, this guy's something else.
It's very much like the Greta Thunberg kind of philosophy. You always go with these certainties that actually, once you dissect them, you analyze them, you see that they're completely based on nothing. So their certainties based on nothing, unfortunately, though, are imposed through this sort of eco-fascism that they have created. And that ecofascism became the spirit of the new Green Deal of Ocasio-Cortez, of all these people.
When they don't have the Holy Spirit to worship, they end up worshiping the land and worshiping, the environment, and then they become, extremists, and then that just buys into every kind of control and command that the New World Order elite want.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I would say that now in Italy, we have, of course, what is happening also in the rest of Europe. I mean, we're having a second wave that can be, of course, treated in the Trumpian way, which is basically the most realistic way based on also on the past experiences. If we go back to the Spanish influenza, the Asian flu, and how countries had to fight these pandemics, we see that nothing was really ever closed completely and totally. There were never this kind of strict lockdowns. And the strict lockdowns are uncharted territory for economy of the world. You are putting on hold everything. You are encouraging this smart working, which is based really on a plan by the New World Order to divide us in our own, in our own buildings, isolated, easy to control, and then eventually we're gonna be given the virtual world reality card to escape all this, because that's gonna be the next thing. But in any case, plexiglass, yes, like you're showing, is definitely not the solution. And unfortunately, who has to pay for all these extra expenses? And so in Italy, in Naples, for example, they had already placed all these plexiglass, they had done all these things, they had diminished the capacity of the restaurants, of the pizzerias, blah, blah, blah. So they already lost a lot of money. But if you want to lock them down once again, it would be like going to New York and say, now we completely lock you down once again. And I mean, it's already happening. And it's already really, the people are starting to get upset. But I guess that then you have history repeating itself. In Italy, 100 years ago, in the period of struggle between the First World War and then what happened with the birth of fascism, you had the first riots, and they happened in Naples. They actually triggered what later on in 1922 became the March on Rome, the March on Rome of Mussolini, which himself actually didn't participate at the beginning to the march because he wanted to stay far away and see what will happen, because it was highly risky to stay in Rome while there was this march. Of course, we're talking about very different time in history in which people were trained militarily. They were all trained because they were coming from the First World War. Nowadays, I think that nowadays the governments have it much more easy, because aside from America, which has a high percentage of the population which is in the military, there is countries in Europe and other places in the world which don't have much military. And so they also are very easily controlled by a small group of people that nowadays maybe uses artificial intelligence and uses the protection of big countries like China. China is the country that is really selling a model of control. A sophisticated model of control, and they are doing business with all those corrupt American politicians that unfortunately have given in to the interest. Now, when the other night it came up that Trump has a bank account in China, the thing is that Trump has, of course, a bank account in China. He was a businessman working before doing politics with the whole world. So why shouldn't he have a bank in China, which, by the way, he used to pay his own tax also in China? So I think that it's obvious that the Bidens have been like the Hoovers, in the sense that, like Trump said, they were like a Hoover. Every time Hunter passed behind Joe and hoovering all the money that was generated from him being on top of this Obama administration. Nobody says anything. Nobody dares to interrogate himself also on the ethical and moral implications of what is happening to the Bidens with, of course, Obama. Obama is linked completely to Joe Biden. and to his son, Hunter Biden. Because, I mean, you think that out of all this money that was generated by the Bidens, the Obamas will not get a cut? Do you really think that they will not get a cut, Jason? I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's actually coming out in the news as well. There's an email that says the big O. We're going to get involved with business with him. This is the biggest business deal of your lives. It looks like they're talking about Obama being implicated as well.
Absolutely. I think that Obama is implicated with the biggest business. Obama is probably implicated, of course, with very shady characters. We have even Jeffrey Epstein and others, of course, the possibility that he has been supporting human trafficking, and of course through that pedophilia rings and all that. I mean, Obama is definitely a guy with no ethics and morals.
So then here's a question, Leo, because we have, like, the Obama administration early on had a lot of dealings with the UN, right? And we understand that now China is kind of, slashed the UN. And then we see all of these foreign investments from the WHO, and basically with this CV 1984, everything, we can see that global connection. But do you think that in addition, Obama was running not counterproductive, but right alongside with the UN and China, making these deals in the background, while, like you say, Biden is the front man that we're focused on now?
Absolutely. I mean, the role of Barack Hussein Obama at the top of this pyramid of deception, of manipulation, Obama has been definitely the person responsible for making shady deals with Soros and his family, the son, working with Soros to actually destabilize Donald J. Trump, financing all those groups that have basically destroyed cities upon cities this summer. No, we have seen Black Lives Matter and Antifa basically setting on fire cities upon cities. And who has financed all this? We have seen that there is professional people that come into town to work and destabilize the situation and trigger these riots, set on fire places, explosives, God knows what, bricks left in the streets and everything. I mean, everything has been financed by somebody, and Obama has his financer in, of course, George Soros, and he has a very good relationship with the son of George Soros, which is, of course, the future of the Soros enterprise. But then at the same time, we have Obama connected with Richard Branson, with many other rich and powerful people like George Clooney.
Muslim brothers.
There is definitely a sort of elite of pedophiles, perverts, Kevin Spacey. The whole of Hollywood, including Oprah Winfrey, used to hang around and worship John the God, who is a big sex trafficker, pedophile, rapist, harvesting organs and whatnot. So, I mean, we are talking here about the involvement of these people with a lot of dark stuff, Harvey Weinstein, and much more. But Joe Biden represents now this whole party. He seems to have the exclusive at the moment on the control of this party. But there is also the United Nations behind the scenes that for many years has been the trade union of the New World Order. I have written about it in volume 2 of my Confessions. I have written about the fact that the United Nations are really the foundation, the ground foundation of this New World Order. Rockefeller family gave the land to build the United Nations building. Inside the United Nations building, there is a sort of meditation room built upon the concept that all religions are the same and they have to be worshipped in the same way without a symbol. there's this room, this concept also that they are waiting for some kind of messiah, a Maitreya, a figure that, of course, is being promoted by the Lucifer Trust, the Theosophical Society, Alice Bailey. We have really the United Nations at the basis of this New World Order, and now with the China financing it, China is bringing this New World Order to be a Chinese-driven New World Order. After years of American, United States-driven New World Order, you have the Chinese. Why? Because those people in the United States, starting from Nixon, going through to the Bushes, and then in all the administrations, no matter if they were Republican or Democrats, they opened up to China and they used China as a tool, and China instead was using them. And in the end, Kissinger, who was the gatekeeper of this operation, is still there today. And I think that this operation ends up only in 2030, with China builds up the most powerful artificial intelligence. In the meantime, the United Nations, for example, this year have received through, which was that organization that the FAO received, or was it the world that received that Nobel Peace Prize?
Health? I don't know.
The
World
food.
Health Organization? The food one?
The United Nations Food Commission.
Yeah, it is, yes, which is basically born. It's like a branch of this organization that is built in Rome many years ago by the United Nations, and it's in the hands of the Chinese, completely in the hands of the Chinese. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, which is based in Rome, is been in the hands of the Chinese in the last few years, and the Chinese literally bought the votes. There is a scandal. You can go and check, actually, even until a few months ago, I remember, you could even find a mention of the scandal behind the vote of this Chinese guy. So the Chinese are really aggressively taking control of the United Nations. But at the same time, we have also in the United Nations the powerful, up until not so long ago, the powerful Saudi Arabia, which is not so powerful anymore, though. It's been sent out of the Human Rights Council. They shouldn't have been there in the first place.
That's exactly what I was going to talk about right now, too. You took the words out of my mouth. Both China and Saudi Arabia were placed on the Human Rights Council, which is a joke.
Yeah.
What was that, 2012, right before Obama left office?
Absolutely. With Obama, they were placed on in that position. You see, with Obama, things got worse, and gradually China was able to also take over the World Health Organization. Eventually, they will give it to this guy in Addis Abeba, this Butrus, what is called? This guy, what's his name? That guy who is the head of the World Health Organization.
Tedros. Tedros?
Yes, Tedros. And Tedros, basically, Tedros is kind of like a bribe, almost. It's like they had a Chinese from Hong Kong in charge of the World Health Organization. Then they got in Tedros in exchange for constructing a 300 million CDC center in Addis Abeba, the first CDC center in Africa, which will mean for the Chinese government full control of the data, of all the DNA data in Africa, which is really what they're after. So, I mean, we are definitely having a lot of corruption in high places, and the only one who has opposed this kind of course of things in the last few years has been Trump, simply because he's a maverick, simply because he has the money already. He doesn't care on putting his life on the line, and he does it for the American people.
Well, that brings me to this point, and while we do have you, I would like for you to speak on that Truth and Reconciliation Commission in the advent that Trump does not get reelected, and the plans that, you know, the left and not just the left, but the globalists have in play, you know, with this truth, and like, because they have it in like South Africa, a lot of other countries have that.
Well, yeah, they had one, and then they had the one in Congo, I remember at one point. Every time there was some kind of clash, they will bring in this kind of commission. What does it mean? Well, it means simply an excuse to implement censorship on a massive scale, persecution of journalists, websites, anybody that goes against their idea of political correctness that, of course, is embedded in the face in this whole thing, you know, that they have to control peace and truth. I mean, peace and truth. Why should is this the ministry of truth of George Orwell? I mean, do you have to have somebody saying we have to have a commission for truth? Don't you know the truth when you wake up in the morning? I mean, this world is starting to become a little bit demented. I mean, if I have to have somebody telling me what is the truth, then it's definitely a Orwellian despotic society, I would say. There's no doubt.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, I agree 100%. And I wanted to point this out, Leo, as well, because this is what we're talking about with the UN. It looks like now what we're seeing with COVID is just an excuse to tank the economy and really just start a global reset. You see that being pushed in the financial.
Because like I said many years ago, the idea of the UN is eventually to bring up within the ranks Barack Hussein Obama to become the Secretary General, and at that point he will order the troops of the UN to invade the United States if the United States is not deemed as a, you know, if they deem it as problematic, then they have to bring in the troops. I mean, I think that Obama is the ideal anti-Christian, antichrist figure that will deliver his nonsense from the UN pulpit. That's it.
So it's quite obvious that Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, they're compromised by China, Russia, just by the deep state period. They have their hands in everybody's pocket. That's what it looks like. It's a global system. Everybody has their hand in everyone's pocket. It's just like the whole thing with spying. You know, we have other countries that spy.
The revelation of Tony Bobulinski, it's a bit like, I mean, I have seen this press conference, and Tony Bobulinski is basically saying he's coming from a Navy military background of generations, by the way, his father, grandfather, and so on, going into business. But it seems like this is not any kind of business. This is a business that is treated almost as a military operation conducted by people in a specific hierarchy where everybody takes a specific percentage, does a certain thing here and there, where the big guys like Biden are always kept out of the public eye voluntarily. There is a say.
And they use people close to them.
I mean, in the emails, it's pretty clear that they don't want anybody to talk about it publicly or write about it. I think that it's the most incredible thing now is that Hunter Biden is still alive, because I think Hunter Biden is a candidate for Epstein kind of moment that might.
Biden too, his father too.
His father, I don't know about his father, because his father, once you just take the drugs from him, once you take the drugs from him, he's gone already. So it's not like the guy's already in his basement, but we want to just send him back into his basement.
So that leads me to a question. I have a question. So do you think that Hunter Biden, because I've been thinking about this, turned in those laptops, or should I say left them on purpose, because he really fears his father or the people that control his father having that much, you know, power and control over this nation? Do you think it was like a bit of consciousness for this? Because he's not stupid by any means. This individual does not seem stupid. Maybe
not
on drugs.
stupid, but maybe he didn't really think about it, because he left those computers there.
And he was smoking crack.
He didn't pay $85, which was the price he should have paid. I mean, it's not a big deal.
That's
it's
what
not
I mean.
a big price. I mean, when you are talking also about an Apple computer, I don't know. I mean, they cost a lot. So, I mean, why not paying the 85? They were damaged with water, but I'm starting to think that this damage happened because he was probably totally out of his mind. God knows what happened to those computers, because the guy, you know, might have spent a few beers on it, or God knows. I mean, or might have puked on them. I don't know. I mean, it's like We don't really know. We know that there was a hard disk. We know that we know that originally there were 3 computers, and that a couple was recuperable, one wasn't, only the hard disk was. I think that the guy is very troubled guy. I think that a few days ago there was this information that was surfacing on an anonymous source, but kind of from a trustworthy site. I don't know if believing it or not, but I think that Hunter Biden might be on an overdose right now. I mean, the guy has fucked up so much the situation for his father that he might be either sent an overdose, or he might already just say, okay, I fucked up so badly, I have to just go in overdose of heroin. I'm saying, not talking about cocaine here.
Yeah, I thought he was the guy on Trump Tower that was going to jump the other day, asking to talk to Trump. I thought it was Hunter.
No, well, I mean, everything is possible at this moment with Hunter Biden. But I think that what he said to the daughter in the emails of the Nation Notice, what he said to the daughter, he said, I will not treat you like Pop, who wants a percentage, kind of, I mean, it's like, it's pretty
it's obvious. It's obvious. It's really obvious.
It's very obvious that the guy is a completely troubled individual because of the father. The father might even have abused him. We don't really know.
You got to realize exactly that's exactly what it could be. What his dad did to him, or what they. You don't know. We don't know what's happening inside these circles. Why was Joe Biden so comfortable though to do that on the Senate floor with those kids, and now you're finding out that girl was in the laptop too, and everything is playing out right before our eyes, and that's why he's so compromised. And that's what this is the point I want to make real quick, because you're doing great.
You see the UN that you are still showing here, they're the ones that let Ghislaine Maxwell talk several times. Some say 6 times, some say 3. But I mean, she was a guest at the United Nations, in front of the United Nations, talking about her BS, because it was BS. And she had this fictitious kind of organization, Terra Mar, I don't know how it was called, to save the seas, whatever. But the thing is that she was there to provide children underage girls.
And the UN has been involved in all of this stuff. Every time the UN goes somewhere, you hear something about rape
and then you have the organization of Ghislaine Maxwell that was next door to the United Nations also. I mean, you have the fact that Jeffrey Epstein was definitely a very powerful individual connected to Bill Gates. I reported in an article I made a month ago about this meeting between Bill Gates with Jeffrey Epstein next to him. They were hanging out a lot together, and they went together to the European Council, to the actual guy who was in charge of the European Council, which is not the European Union, but it's still a very powerful organization in Strasbourg. He went to his villa, and apparently in his villa he arrived with all the entourage with Bill Gates. And this guy who received him, the head of the European Council, is a Norwegian guy. And basically Jeffrey Epstein managed to convince Bill Gates to give him millions for a foundation that is in New York, that still exists. So these people are like, and that still works with the United Nations.
And so they're all tied in together.
Tied in together. It's like, and of course, the Pope, for the first time in history in 2015, went in front of the United Nations and was received in a way that was unprecedented also by, was it the US Senate or was it the Congress? He went, I think it was.
Well, it was the Congress.
Oh, Congress, yeah. But he went and he delivered a speech that was unprecedented, because there was not a time in the history of the United States of America that the Pope arrives and talks. Who cares about the Pope? I mean, it's like the division of state and religion should be at a level that you don't have this kind of thing. While instead, during the Barack Obama administration in 2015, they literally bow down to the Pope, who arrived here in the United States like he was the king of the world.
But I think he was invited by the Republican Speaker of the House. I forgot his name because remember he was up there
Paul
crying.
Ryan.
No, the other one.
John, I can't think of his name at this
No,
moment.
yes, I know which one. I know the one you mean. But
Though.
yes, he was the previous Speaker of the House, of course. But you have to understand that Republicans and Democrats, before the arrival of Donald J. Trump, were simply a one-word political group that believed only in their plan for the New World Order. There wasn't any differences between the two parties, guys. They were people, and we have really seen these rhinos, these Republicans in name only, as Trump also calls them, and we had many
even
of
down
those,
to the generals.
and then we have many of the Mitt Romney, many of the McCains, many of that in the end acted really at times like the worst Democrat, and he was a Republican, and he couldn't really have a unified spirit in the party until you get a real leader. I think that Donald J. Trump brought again that leadership to a much more unified Republican Party. We have seen that nowadays anybody in the Republican Party that goes against Trump is simply somebody who is about to enter some kind of business deals with the Democrats. Or they might be simply changing TV channel if they are an anchorman. Shepard Smith is an example, but then we had Megyn. It's quite obvious, when they attack Trump, they have already been bought out.
Right. And this is what I was saying about Biden. He's already bought out by the UN. And this is what I was talking about here with Build Back Better. That's his slogan. This is Joe Biden's slogan, Build Back Better. One night I was on the UN's website just looking around because there's some college that's funded by the UN that watches our show, and they like to make reports. It's real fun. Anyway, so I figured let me go look around on their site, and I find Build Back Better, and I'm like, wait a second, that's Joe Biden's slogan. So he's literally pushing the Build Back Better, Agenda 21, 2030, sustainable development, global reset, United Nations, one world globalism agenda. And this is it. Build Back Better is his slogan. Kamala Harris's new commercial just came out. She's talking about building back better. And it's kind of like when they say, oh, we need a new world order, but it doesn't mean new world order. But they say, oh, we need to build back better, but it is a slogan, but they just work it in there nonchalantly. So I just wanted to throw that in there. People don't know Build Back Better is a UN slogan, and that's also Joe Biden's slogan. So there you have it. You have a UN, a president that's literally running that is compromised, and he's going to give your freedoms over to the UN, China, and other global entities. And that's what it is. We're facing either Americanism or globalism, freedom or slavery.
Yeah, and he says he wants to destroy the social contract between the people, so, and that's on his website. Like, why you want to tear down the social contract or defund the police? Oh, I didn't say that. Like the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. These things is crazy, man. You got a bunch of socialists, communists, Marxists that really want to take people to internment camps.
Because some people were curious to know if it was John Bonner who was introducing Pope Francis to the Congress, and I can confirm that was the case. There was also a big article that I can show you from the official Jesuit magazine back then. That we can show to our audience if you want. Here it is. It's an article on the American magazine, which is the Jesuit Review, and of course, in this this article you can really see the support that the Jesuits were giving to a figure of the Republican Party that has since disappeared completely because it was part of that swamp that was drained inevitably at the arrival of Donald J. Trump in Washington. And I think that there has been a few like him, and and in both parties. I mean, you have to understand that in the Republican Party there was a lot of swamp creatures up until the arrival of Donald J. Trump, and still in states like California, where we had the people like Schwarzenegger suddenly becoming somebody who endorses the left more than anybody else. I mean, we have a GOP which is practically been compromised until now, and that's why in California the Republican Party didn't have an opportunity until now. But now things are changing. Things are changing. There is a new wave. I would like to show our viewers, of course, the latest Trump endorsement that was found on the side of a highway, where already a couple of weeks ago there was another Trump endorsement. I would say that Trump endorsement on the highway here is endorsement on the highway LA. Let's see if we find, is it Trump spelled out on an LA hillside? There is definitely been a lot of endorsement of the Republican Party that is unprecedented here in California. So it really makes you think if all the Democrats have finally left and gone to Texas, because Texas is becoming, unfortunately, a blue state. So I'm sorry for my friend Alex Jones. They were all bitching around the fact that I was here in California. But here in California, guys, we are getting more and more into the red wave, and it's kind of like manifesting, and you go around and you see it. People, of course, we have also accidents. We have crazy people. The other day in Palm Springs, a couple of kids, one's 13, another 15. They across the street in front of the near the Target and the Walmart there, and they attacked the Trump rally. There was a Trump rally there. This kid, 15-year-old with an air gun, gave the air gun in the head of the Trumper until he bleeded. The Trump, of course, they chased down both him and the other kid who was 13. Well, they found out that the 13-year-old had a 9mm Glock also. So, I mean, these are kids who own guns in a state that doesn't permit guns for all the people. You would suppose that, okay, the 13-year-old who attacked, I think it was the 15-year-old actually, who attacked probably, one of the two was arrested. The other one instead was released to the parents. But the thing is that these children are educated to hate Republicans, hate Trump, hate everything that the patriots represent. It's very sad to see that there is this level of brainwashing, unfortunately, in most of the American schools, colleges, and so on. So we hope that during the second mandate of Donald J. Trump, we focus a little bit on the education of the young people, because it seems like really they're very confused.
Amen. Yeah, thank you so much, Leo.
Thank you for having me on, guys, and all the best. Please send me a link so we can spread this great interview, and let's pray for this second mandate, because I'm almost certain that Trump will win. The only problem is, of course, that they will never accept his victory. I mean, remember what Hillary said: don't accept. Ah! So these people are ready not to accept a victory. Let's make it a landslide victory, so then they just have to be buried in their own rubbish, and they will disappear together with their fake news. Thank you so much, and God bless America.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you so much. Follow
powerful articles. Yep, go ahead,
Thanks.
Jay.
Go ahead.
Follow LeoZagami.com. LeoZagami.com. Keep up with many of his powerful articles. A lot of things that's ahead of the curves, groundbreaking videos, just all-star reporting, if you ask me, because it brings a different element of insight from myself.
Amen. Yeah, I agree 100%. Leo Zagami, he's great. Has a lot of information. Always glad to have him. Follow him. Go to leozagami.com. You can find him. His YouTube is off until November 4th, of course. got a 2-week ban, so he gets it back on the day after the election. Leo Zagami. We appreciate you guys watching. Just remember that you're watching the 76, brought to you by Titans of Liberty. We appreciate you guys so much. And we'll go ahead and leave you guys better. Joe Biden, look at this guy. I mean, we got another commercial to leave you guys with. So everybody, hope you guys have a good evening. We might be back tomorrow to do a little news clip with what's going on with Hunter Biden and all of this pedo videos coming out, and which is tragic to see these young girls that are involved. But you know, it has to be exposed. So thank you for watching, guys, and have a good evening. And here's a commercial. Are you tired of pedophile campaign runners for president? Are you tired of having a sold-out candidate? Are you tired of the New World Order always trying to take away your freedoms? Well, don't vote for Joe Biden. He's owned by the United Nations. Even Build Back Better is a UN slogan. Trump 2020